Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Thursday night live stream. Can I see some waves? That's awesome. See some faces? Surely everyone turn your camera on so we can all say hello to each other. Can see some cameras going on. Hey, Mitchell. Hey, mate. Hey, Mike. Hey, Ange. Anna. Awesome. Hey, Dan. Hey, Serena. Cool. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. As always, I'm just going to start with a quick acknowledgement. So, acknowledge that and pay my respects to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm streaming from today. I would like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge that the land that I'm streaming from was never ceded. So good to see you all back again for another week. We've got an awesome agenda on today with some awesome speakers as well. Abby won't be here this week, so I'm going to run through the house rules, and you're probably going to hear quite a bit from me for quite a bit of me for the first little bit. So I hope that's okay. So do we have any new people tonight? Is everyone new? Can you see some hands? Martin and Tori, yep. It's fair. Martin and Tori are our speakers tonight, and we'll hear a little bit more about them soon. So maybe I'll run through. It looks like we've got quite a few veterans here, which is really awesome to see. Just quickly run through the house rules anyway, just to reiterate. So what are these meetings for? The meetings were generally for asking questions, hearing from guest speakers, getting a little bit of a catch-up update with the Farmall team, and also to hear from you guys as well, hear your wins and any successes that you've had for the week. We'd like you to just stay on mute if you could, unless we have a section where we're opening it to the floor or we have question time. That just makes it easier to hear the speakers. But we would like you to keep your camera on if you can. We like seeing your faces and all the smiles and the waves, and makes for a much more engaging and fun time for everyone. And the last one is just to be kind to each other. As always, building a community here, and that takes a whole lot of kindness. So on the agenda for today, we're going to you're going to hear a little bit from G and I. We're just going to run through some stuff that happened this week, a little bit of a recap, and then a bit of stuff for next week as well. G's going to tell us what we can expect to learn in next week's lessons, and some cool things that we should be aware of in regards to that. And then we are going to hear from Martin and Tori. So they're from a company called Karma 3. They're another startup like us, like Farmall, and they're doing really amazing things with food waste and repurposing it into useful and practical things. I don't want to spoil it too much because it's pretty interesting. So I won't tell you too much more about that, but we will hear from them later on and their awesome work. And then we will open it up to questions at the end. So any questions for Martin and Tori about what they're doing, or any questions for the Farmall team. Luke is also not here this week, the other urban farmer, so, but G and I can answer any urban farming questions as well. Cool. Sweet. So just a quick recap. Was anyone in the last Saturday Zoom? Was anyone here? Hey, Ange, awesome. Anyone else? Mike, hey, I see you guys. How's it going? Does anyone, would Xanthi or Mike, your kids, do you think they would be comfortable telling everyone what they did on Saturday? Only if they're comfortable. Ange, yeah, let's hear it. I'll unmute you. There you go.
So we planted alfalfa, and we learned about poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Which one in particular? Zero something.
What?
Zero something. Zero.
Poverty.
No more.
Food.
More food.
More food.
More food for everyone, exactly. Zero hunger. So every Saturday we're doing really awesome kids sessions with the kids in the program. We're learning about the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And as Xanthi has told us, on last Saturday's session, we looked at zero hunger and how we can use sprouting and urban farming to grow food to help address food security and helping people in that regard. So the kids, we taught them how to sprout alfalfa. It was really fun. I've seen, and we saw some awesome photos on the group of people's alfalfa jars coming through. It looks super cool. We were really proud of them. And we just wanted to say thanks to you who joined, and we hope to see more of you this Saturday for our next one, where we focus on good health and well-being, which I believe is number 3? There's 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. 3, Geert just told me 3. So we're going to focus on the ones that are most suitable for the Resilience Growing Program and urban farming, and how we can use this awesome initiative to tackle some of the world's greatest problems. Cool. So thanks for that, Xanthi. I appreciate that. Also, I'm keen to know, did anybody, who's been cooking with their microgreens? Has anyone cooked with them? Yeah, Faith. Yeah, Dan, sick. Mitchell, awesome. Did anyone cook the recipe from Social Food Project? Any of the salsa verde or the salad? Or did you go freestyle? Does anyone want to share what they're, if anyone has been eating the microgreens and cooking them, anyone want to share what they've made so far?
So put your name.
Oh, yeah. Belinda?
Yeah. We ate them with our dinner tonight, mostly.
Oh, yum. How were they?
Good. I love them.
Awesome.
Well, snow pea sprouts, anyway.
They're really good. I like the snow peas as well. They're very tasty. And they look really cool as well. They're probably the most unique looking microgreen that you'll grow, because they have that really cool, all the tendrily bits and all the leaves, and they grow really tall. Oh, awesome. So you think you'll keep eating with them? You keep making more meals and stuff? We hope so. We hope so.
Maybe, yeah, probably.
Cool. Cool. Also want to just talk briefly about fish. So we're going to be talking a little bit about fish tonight, and G's probably going to tell us more about that. As you know, I went to Coburg Aquarium last week and spoke to Thurinder from there, a lovely man who told us all about fish keeping and the fish that are going to be suitable for our tanks at home. But I'm kind of keen to know who's watched the video, and also what you had to think about what your favorite fish was. So I created a poll. I'm going to launch it. It's, what is your favorite fish that we learned about, with all the different ones? And I just want you to, like, you know, let's find out which one's the best, because you guys are going to be choosing your fish tomorrow. You guys get to choose your fish that you're going to be that are going to be sent to you in week 7. So we're keen to just know what's the favorite. What are people vibing? So I'm going to launch that poll, and then G is going to tell us a little bit more about that. So there we go. All right, take it away, G.
Yeah. So the pause in my screen. I'll make my vote first to start. I'll vote for the platy. So it's a really cool fish. It's one that hasn't been discussed in the video with Coburg Aquarium. And the reason why I love platies is because they're very colorful, they're very bright, and they're always happy. So they'll always go and meet you at the screen, and they'll know when you're there and when you're gonna feed them. And they'll easily learn that you represent their food, so they'll be very happy and glad to see you. They're also herbivores, so they'll feed off the roots of the microgreens, and they'll enjoy nipping all the little algae off your screen and off the roots. So they're very fun fish to have in the tank. They're also called alive bearing fish, meaning that if you've got a male and a female in the tank, that they'll easily create a family, and they're live bearing, so it means they don't have to lay eggs, and they just overnight you'll have an expansion of your family of platies. They live quite long. They're quite happy, and they're never too fussed, and they're never too stressed when there's a lot of movement around the tank either. So yeah, it's a very exciting time for us in the program when the tanks are starting to get ready and starting to become biologically active, because the whole purpose of what we've been doing is to create an ecosystem that's going to provide us with fresh, healthy, and nutritious food. So now we're coming close to the point where our fish tanks are becoming biologically active, and where the biofiltration system is kicking in, so that the environment will become healthy and happy and balanced for us to start sending your fish in a couple of weeks. So tomorrow we'll do another survey, a short one, in which you can choose your favorite fish, and then we'll start letting them know that they've got a new family in which they'll be housing into in the next couple of weeks. So next week we'll talk about hydroponics and setting up your styrofoam box for your hydroponic system, because hopefully everyone has started germinating their chard seeds in the foam blocks. So if they've started to germinate, great. Then in a couple of weeks, they'll be ready to transfer to their hydroponic home. Wilson is also going to teach us a bit more about hydroponics in general. And yeah, at the end of next week, we'll start sending out the kits. So the second kit, which you'll receive another smaller styrofoam box in, which will turn into another little farm. And it will have bits to extend your light. I've seen in the Facebook group that because the pea shoots were quite tall, the lights weren't always tall enough to accommodate the right spread of light to keep everything growing straight. So with a small extension that we're going to add to your system, that problem should be solved. And then another amazing addition into your second kit is going to be your nutrients to grow hydroponic lettuce or chard in this scenario with. And those nutrients are really, really amazing. And they're at the center of tonight's conversation with Karma Tree, because Karma Tree and Farmwell have teamed up to create an all-natural nutrient solution for your growing needs. And yeah, like we've been talking to each other for a few years, being really excited what we're doing and what we're doing in this space. And I'm very glad and very excited that we've come to this collaborative product, and you'll be the first ones in Australia that are going to use insect fresh to grow your veggies. But I'll let Martin and Tori tell you all about that in their presentation. So yeah, I'm very proud to introduce you to Martin and Tori from Karma Tree, and I'll pass on the puck and we'll start the conversation. On to you, Martin.
Hey guys, thank you so much, Geert. Thank you so much, Toby. Very excited to join you tonight. We have been working towards releasing this product for about a year now, and as you say, this is the premiere of this product in Australia, so we're super excited to release this with you. I'm going to share my screen now, so bear with me. Hopefully you should all be able to see what I'm seeing now. Toby, can you see that one? Yeah, all right. So I want to tell you first a little bit about us and what we do. If I can just get this to work, bear with me 1 second. Okay. So the ethos of our company is built around scraps sustainability. So what I mean by that is we take food that, you know, was perfectly edible, but maybe for some reason it can't be eaten anymore. It might be, you know, the leaves of a cabbage plant that you don't want to eat, or it might be some bread that's going to be stale, or maybe a product that's too close to its use-by date, or it's a, you know, crooked carrot that no one wants to eat. And we feed that to our insects. And those guys actually enable us to produce two products. One is our insect protein, and the other, which we're going to be talking about tonight, is our insect-based fertilizer. which is very cool. Tori over here is going to tell us a little bit about that later. Now, the reason why we're doing this is that there is actually a massive problem with food. Globally, we produce so much food that actually just gets wasted. In Australia alone, I think in the last year, over 3 million tons. Like I can't even imagine what that is. 3 million tons of food is just sent to landfill, thrown out, gone, wasted. And you might think, okay, it's going to landfill, it's just going to decompose. You'd be right, except there is a massive environmental impact from that, because as the food decomposes, it releases all these greenhouse gases, and that 3 million tons of food actually equates to about running 3 million cars for a year. To give you an idea of the extent of the problem, landfill is actually comprised of 33%, 1/3 of food. So it's actually the biggest contributor to landfill, which is absolutely crazy. So what we do, we start off with our humble fly here. They produce not grains of rice that you might think, but actually these are teeny tiny black soldier fly larvae eggs. I don't know if you can even see them, but they're literally less than a millimeter long. And each fly produces a few hundred of them. And we let them hatch. And well, look, I was going to show you what happens after that, but I know that a lot of people are about to eat dinner. And so look, we use your imagination to guess what larvae do when they have fun in food. So we let them be for about a week or so, let them do their thing. And then at the end of it, we get two products. So we've got our larvae on the top there, and underneath is actually what they turn the food into. So that's full of nutrients, full of beneficial microbes, all these good things like that. And from that, we actually make a few products. So first one is really insect protein. On the left there, you can see actually dried insects there. You might think like insects, I don't know about this, it sounds a bit weird, but if you honestly close your eyes and just smell, they actually are incredibly appetizing. It's very surprising. So we make a few products out of that, great for animal feed. In the middle there, you can see we've got the farm wall hydroponic nutrients, which Tori's going to tell us a little bit about. And then hopefully at the end, I'll be able to tell you about our insect protein dog treats, which are very, very cool. We've launched that recently, and we're keen to share that with you tonight. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to Tori. She's going to tell us all about why the hydroponic nutrients are so interesting. But the summary of all of our products is because they are produced from streams that might otherwise be thrown out, we're actually creating completely sustainable products, which I think is very cool. And that's why it ties in so well with Farm Wall. So I'm going to hand it over to Tori. She's going to tell us a little bit about the nutrients.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having us here. And to be honest, I'm a bit nervous because of my Chinglish, but I'm super excited because that's our first time launch this product, and it's a great collaboration with Farm Wall, and they do a great job as well. So now let's have a look at this baby. It is natural, organic, and environment friendly. And the most important, it actually is a super blend of macro and micro elements for the plants, and also enhance the biodiversity of growing media, which afterwards will stimulate the root growth and, of course, overall plant health. Then let's have a look. So what makes our insect-based nutrient different is this magic ingredient, chitin. So don't worry, this is not a chemical class. So actually this chitin is very abundant in the world. It's the shell of crabs or shrimps, and you can even find it in mushrooms. So the difference of chitin from our insect's exoskeleton is it is highly water soluble, which means it can be absorbed by the plant easily, which will stimulate the plant have an immune system against the pathogen and the disease and the fungi in the growing media. And also, the chitin will form an invisible shield around the root system, which have a natural barrier against anything, well, might damage the root and protect them. And also during this period, it wouldn't give any negative burden to the environment. So I think this is pretty cool ingredient, and a lot of researchers now actually putting effort into it and see if it can have other functions like water resilience. And well, yeah, we wait and see. So now you might wonder, how can I use it? Or would it be a messy or pain in the ass to apply again and again? And tell you a secret, apart from learning these things from textbook, because I studied agriculture before, and I never grow anything by myself before last year when we started the experiment. And see what I've got here, like left is a bucket of capsicums I harvested, and then we have heaps of the salad greens and also all sorts of herbs. That's how easy you can use the nutrients. So it can use as growing media, you put seeds in, you put seedling in, and you can use in hydroponic system. You can just spring it on your soil in your backyard, or make a tea bag and spray on the top of your leaves and give a boost. And of course, well, here, this one with a farm wall system. So what you need to do is just open it, dump it into your reservoir, give it a little bit stir, then wait. A couple of weeks later, you can harvest your microgreen.
Well, a few weeks later.
A few weeks later, yeah, well, a few weeks later, be patient. So then now, so you would ask me, oh, that is just an enhanced fertilizer, right?
Right.
No, it is a hyper-sustainable fertilizer. So how do you define, how do I define sustainable? So one part is how we produce it. As Martin described before, we take the crops to sustainable, to those amazing products. And the other part, what I think is it gives a sustainable micro environment for the plants, like give them a very warm home for them to grow better. So the reason why they say synthetic fertilizer is inorganic, because not only because it is a byproduct from oil industry, which is super unsustainable and cause a lot of issues. You know now what's happening, but also because it's only provide essential, like the chemical elements to the plant for them to survive. But if you want your plants to thrive, they actually need more. It's much more. They need organic matters. They need living organisms. They need like vivid micro environment for them. That is exactly what our insect-based nutrients can provide. And that's actually the key of the taste of childhood. So like we had a blind test before about our capsicums and lettuce, and all of my colleagues actually choose those produce from our insect-based nutrients. They say it tastes better. The better is more like it tastes like it should be. It tastes like the memory of your childhood. It tastes like the plant itself, not just plain waterish or wax taste. So, well, let's contribute to saving the plant when we have a true taste of the vegetables. So since we have fulfilled our stomach, now we get back to our four-legged friends.
Excellent. Thank you, Tori. So we've got a little bit of time left. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our dog treats. Not quite related to hydroponics, but interesting nonetheless, especially if you've got dogs. So One With Everything is a brand we've launched. It's available online at the moment. These are insect protein dog treats. It's 100% insects, it's nothing else. That's why we called it One With Everything, because basically it's one ingredient, but it's got protein, minerals, all these great things for your dog. So it's a very natural and healthy product. It actually looks and tastes like a chocolate brownie. It's quite weird, but as you can see there, they actually are very tasty. Ruby here loves them.
Yes.
We're very excited about this one because it's a very special product. So because we love Farmwell so much, because we think you guys are so cool, we're actually offering for 2 weeks only 50% off our online store for anyone who wants to try them. Wait, 50%, Tori?
I'm crying.
Okay, all right, okay, it's 50%. I mean, I don't know how we can afford that, but that's what we're doing just because we love you guys so much. So check it out. Go to onewitheverything.com.au, check out the store, put in the code FARMWELL2020, and you get 50% off. And we're also on Instagram as well. It's at @1_with_everything. So who doesn't love photos of cute dogs? Come check us out. But I'll hand it back to Toby and Geert now. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We're really, really keen to see how this goes and look forward to hearing from you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Martin and Tori, for that. It's something it's a space I've been very interested personally for a long time now. So it's really cool to see more and more of this stuff start to come to fruition. We've got a few questions in the chat as well, and also I think some questions. I have my own questions as well about like. I mean, we're going to get into more of this in detail next week's lessons, when we learn about hydroponic nutrients and the differences between them, and also how hydroponics compares to aquaponics in regards to the way that the plants get nutrients and where the nutrients come from. But can you tell us a little bit about like what are you talking about when you mean like mined nutrients or fertilizers, and then comparison to?
I think that was the micronutrients. So it's got macro and micronutrients. So you want to tell them about that?
Oh, we can't hear you guys. Might be an issue with your mic. Let's give them a.
Sorry, is that better?
That's much better. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I think what we actually was talking about were macro and micronutrients.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, it's more talking about the size of elements. So big ones we call it the macro, and it's basically and what the plants need more. It's like basically nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And then the micro one is more like mineral elements, which can be ignored, especially in inorganic fertilizer. So that's all like we have that in our insect-based nutrients.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for that. At this point we're fielding any questions from anyone who wants to ask Martin and Tori some questions about their talk, or about Karma 3, the company, or about the insect product industry, or anything else. Any other questions? How, you could ask them how the day was if you want.
Yeah, while she is sleeping.
Could cats eat it too? To be honest, we haven't tried with cats. As you can see, our test subject here is Ruby the dog. Definitely, like it's a very healthy product. Although humans aren't supposed to eat it, even humans could eat it, to be honest. We haven't really tried it with cats, but we'd love to try it out. So, if you want to give it a go, please let us know.
Cool. So we've got quite a few questions in the chat that I'll just read out. So Mark Stoney wants to know: is insect fertilizer better than others available?
Yeah.
Others available.
Well, look, it's a very unique fertilizer. That's the thing. And it's got nutrients that you can't really find anywhere else. That's the chitin that Tori was talking about. So that's one of the things that makes it really special. But beyond that, it's a completely organic fertilizer, which is very cool. Not so easy to find. So it's very good for the ecosystem. So I think it's pretty cool, pretty unique.
Yeah, I would address it as like a hyper sustainable, because our sustainability not only one side, like say, we've got food produce, waste of food produce, but also like we use that and produce high value protein, then also have a very interesting byproduct, which is the nutrients. So we have like a double sustainability.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a terrific idea. How is it
And
different?
that's
So
my-
Mark also has another question. How is
Yep.
it different to animal manure?
Well, I guess that's really the chitin, but also as well, it's got a very different nutrient makeup. So it's a bit higher in nitrogen, I believe, but it's also the micronutrients, which makes it more suited to really giving plants a very, very good balance of nutrients that you can't always find in all animal manure sources.
And the other thing is, animal manure, you actually need another like 8 weeks or to go in a feedlot, a beef feedlot. It takes us half year to turn over because the weather is just so wet. It's so long to turn, and the weight the manure getting is like a fertilizer you can use, because in the beginning the nitrogen is way too high. If you apply on any crops, it's just burn the root. So for us is like a couple of weeks, then you can use it directly. Yeah.
Awesome. More questions from Anne just asked, can turtles eat it?
Yeah, well, we actually do sell some live larvae to reptile stores as well. So if you've ever bought live insects for your bearded dragons or maybe turtles as well, you may have actually bought our larvae.
Fantastic. Yeah, so that's another, follows on to the next question from Caroline. Will we be getting live insect larvae? Or
No.
maybe you can tell us the form exactly that the nutrient will come in?
Yeah, well, the nutrients, the hydroponic nutrients are actually just a powder form. So I can probably show you here. It's really just like a powder there. So pours out of the jar very easily and straight into your reservoir. So no insects in that one, that's for sure.
Awesome. We're going to learn a lot more about reservoirs and all that next week as well. It's basically just the container that you're going to be in with all the water. Yeah. Sweet. Do you sell, there's a question from Faith. Do you sell your larvae for human consumption?
If you want to, send me a direct message after the meeting. Look, no, we don't.
But all the people here, we try.
Yeah, so if you want to work with Karma 3, you actually have to eat insect. That's a prerequisite. No, look, we don't currently. We'd love to, and it's actually, it would be a great thing for us to do at some point. But for us, like the barriers to get into that on a reasonable scale are a bit higher. So we're shelving that for now, but definitely in the future, we'd love to see people eating it.
In many parts of the world, it's very common to eat insects, and I have tried insects produced from companies similar to yours in New Zealand that make I tried so New Zealand has this native beetle called the hoo-hoo grub, or it's a native grub called the hoo-hoo grub, and this company was growing them and roasting them on skewers, and I tried one and it was pretty good, not gonna lie. I enjoyed it.
Well, if you go to China, you can have lots of them, all sorts of different. Like my dad actually today sent me a picture of silkworm he had at home, like all sorts of different colors. It's pretty cool.
Totally. Okay, so a question from May. May I ask, where do the food scraps that you use come from, and how do you choose what goes in to the system?
Absolutely. So that's a very good question there. There's a lot to choose from, so we actually can be kind of selective. We would love to take what's called post-consumer food, so stuff that comes out of people's kitchens. But there's some issues there at the moment with, how do we make sure that we're not getting anything in there that might be harmful for dogs or for larvae or anything like that. So we predominantly source, or we exclusively source rather, the food from food manufacturing processes. So whenever you, think about maybe get some fruit that's been sliced into little pieces by a machine, there's always these little offcuts that no one really cares about. They go, well, we'll just throw it out. That's the perfect food for the larvae to take on because it's 100% clean. We know it's human grade food. There's nothing in it to be worried about, and there's plenty of it.
Yeah, and the funny part is when we're talking about waste of produce, and people usually thinking, oh, that's something I don't want to eat, I throw it away. But you will be amazed or surprised at how much, like say, bananas was dumped before farm gate in Queensland because of the shade.
Yeah.
It's just, well, you feel like when you're talking about zero hunger before, right? Those things, when I know that news, I just feel, oh, what a shame. Like, why? Like, people here, I'm not blaming anything. I just feel like there are other ways to use them. And now we are doing it. So I'm very proud of ourselves. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Got a pretty awesome question from Dan. So black soldier flies are really amazing. We need them in our waste cycle. Do you guys have a cool setup to breed them? And do you see a future where apartment blocks and suburban blocks have black soldier fly digesters to produce food waste?
Love that question, Dan. Thank you very much. Yes, we do. We have very, very cool infrastructure to breed them. That's we worked for about 2 or 3 years actually to make this technology, and we're in the process of actually scaling up to a much larger facility where we'll be able to produce lots more insects, recycle a lot more food. In terms of your question about the apartment buildings, something that we've actually looked into, but I think ultimately the solution is to have more localized facilities, not necessarily in your apartment building, but it's something that could be in a suburban environment. Doesn't have to be one mega factory somewhere very far away. And that's a really interesting way that actually ties in with the farm world ethos of, urban production of our food. And now we've got urban recycling of some of our waste.
Can you see it kind of, like operating more, it's kind of like recycling in that sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So we've got I've got a question from Faith. How does the gas emissions from insect decomposition compare with composting or processing vegetable waste through cows? And I've kind of got a bit of an add-on question to that as well, which is what is the carbon emissions or the emissions of insects in comparison to beef or chicken or sort of live animal farming?
Do you want to get that?
Yeah, great question, Faith. Well, let me just say that combusting is great, and I think it's a really useful part of the recycling system. There's a lot of things that can be processed really well with composting. If you do look at the sort of carbon balance, ours is significantly better. It takes a much shorter time, and I can't remember the exact figures off the top of my head, but it's at least, I think, 3 times less emissions from our process compared to composting. And in terms of the other meats, look, it's really hard to say, it's hard to put a figure on the emissions from cattle production, chicken production, stuff like that. I think it's definitely possible to make those more sustainable. But one thing that we can definitely say we're very proud of doing is the water content, the food content. If you consider that all the materials that we input into our system are basically, waste streams, they're the things that would otherwise be thrown out, we essentially use 0 resources to produce a whole bunch of really cool stuff.
Yeah, so in the academic area, they use life cycle assessment to measure how much the environmental impact from each industry. But the flaw or the complexity of that is how do you define the boundary? Because if you say livestock, say a cattle, where do you start? Do you start from you grow the grains, or do you start when they were born? And where do you end? Do you end when they get out of the gate or when they get onto your plate? Because that would be very, very different in terms of transportation, manufacture, package, and handover. So, easy math is, Martin talked before, is when you're thinking about what we give them is already produced, like no matter what, it is like existing produces which is no longer useful for human consumption, and then you give to insects to eat them. So the meth, like same thing, similar. If you give those to a pig, then you think, oh, the meth is negative. So we actually do good like benefits to the environment. So yeah, that's the kind of a blur boundary.
Awesome, thank you. I've got a few more questions in the chat. Ange would like to know if you guys are going for investment opportunities. That's a good question.
Absolutely, and we always keen to get more money to help us build larger factories, to help us recycle more produce. So listen, if you want to get involved in the project, we'd love to hear from you. You'd be very welcome to come on board and help us make a big difference.
Yeah, and we can make all sorts of different products.
Awesome. And just one more from Mark as well. He's interested in the price of the different products that you have on the table there.
Yeah. So the dog treats here, these are between $8 and $12 a packet. And these ones, well, Farmwell, I have to leave the pricing of that one over to you.
Yeah, maybe G can tell us about that one.
Yeah, because the special edition.
Yeah, special. Yeah, so just for full transparency, this is the first time that this product has been, like, this is the first time that I've seen this product in real life. Like, I helped design the label recently, and now I'm actually seeing it, which is really cool. So it's a very new collaboration between Farmwell and Karma 3, and the Resilience Growing Program is the first place where we are testing it, and you guys get to like be the first ones to use this really innovative product, which is super cool. So maybe tell us a little bit about how that's going to work with people getting their nutrients.
Yes, so this first one will be included in your kits that are coming with the fish, so it won't cost you any extra. And then from there onwards, you can purchase them online for around $10 plus shipping per serve. And each pack of Karma 3 Farmwell nutrients, hydroponic nutrients, will provide you have enough nutrients to grow a set of vegetables in your hydroponic system, maybe 2. And it's amazing to use the water afterwards to water your indoor plants or your veggie patch, and actually have another effect on those plants as well. So there's multiple uses for it, and we can make sure that there's absolutely no waste again in that process as well.
Awesome. Thanks, G. Cool. Does anyone else have any questions in general? Any more questions for Karma 3 or for the Farmwell team as well? You feel free to speak out loud as well if you don't want to write in the chat. You'd rather just speak your mind. Otherwise, oh yeah. Andrew's asking the water that we've used for the alfalfa sprouting could be used for the dog to drink. I think that's probably okay. Yeah, you can just pour it, because dogs are pretty fine with that kind of stuff. So if you want to save the water and put it into the dog bowl so that they can drink it, that's probably more than fine. Seen some really cool comments, not questions, but just really cool comments in the chat. People talking about the value of the program and all that, and people stoked on it and stoked on Karma 3's work as well. I think it's amazing what you guys are doing. It's a really it's the kind of thing that we're going to see more and more and more of, I think, as people leverage circular economies or circular ecosystems, much in the same way that we're doing with aquaponics into the future, taking waste resources and basically, removing that worldview of viewing something as a waste and seeing it as something to be diverted and turned into something new. And if you guys watched that video that we put into the Facebook group today from a similar company in England that were doing it, the way that they talked about it being a natural life cycle and just leveraging that blueprint from life through the combination of aquaponics and insects and food waste. it's really quite awesome. So thank you very much for speaking tonight, guys. Karma 3, would you?
Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome. We've got a few. So just got a few more questions related to the program about the fish. So May wants to. Hold up. Sorry. Are we meant to have the water heater on while cycling the water? Yes, you can leave the water heater on. You can keep it about 24 degrees. Just kind of keeps it at a temperate condition and helps the sort of microorganisms grow. As we know, like kind of lukewarm lukewarm temperatures are like really perfect places for sort of, micro life to grow and bugs and stuff. So yeah, you can leave the heater on. Regarding the fish, can shrimp live peacefully and cohabitate with the suggested fish? So can we get shrimp in our system? G, can you tell us about that?
I have to click on the link. There is certain shrimp that are suitable for aquariums and aquaponics. You got to be very careful, like because they like to escape, and they're not always compatible with your fish. Also, like large vertebrate kind of types like yabbies, they're amazing to have, but they'll escape your tank very quickly. And if you get more yabbies, they'll often start fighting later in life, and they'll start fighting until there's one left. So depends what type of ecosystem you want to build. But I'll be careful with the type of shrimp, or making sure that you actually pick the right shrimp for your system. But yeah, it's cool to kind of think about the things we can include into our little system. And it's so inspiring what Karma 3 has been doing. I've visited their site in Thomastown a few times, and it's quite impressive to see their setup and how the insects are grown in food waste. And yeah, it's what we really love here at Farmall is like how we can imagine the amount of plants and animals that we can combine in an ecosystem that we can actually live in coherence with in our cities. And if we look at insects, for example, not only can they be grown out of food waste and they're very high in protein, and could be a potential very efficient and effective food source for ourselves and our pets in the future. But that protein could potentially also feed the fish in our aquaponic system, and the first from the insects can actually become a nutrient in our hydroponic system. So the food waste actually becomes the fuel to grow new food, and that's how closing the loop takes a whole new dimension, and where we're no longer going for neutral impacts, but we're actually changing our waste streams into productive resource again. And if we can combine that with the right ecosystems and create the right balance, we can hopefully create a system that is actually in balance with the planet and with our own health and well-being. Yeah, we're not there yet, but this experiment might be a step towards that for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, G. We've got just a couple more questions in the chat, and then I think we'll get pretty close to wrapping it up. So we've got one for Karma 3, actually. If you guys, I'll unmute you. See that? There we go. All right. So Mark would like to know, can larvae be fed garden waste, like leaf litter, or that sort of thing?
Sadly, no. They like to eat food. They not so much the garden waste, and that's where composting comes into play. So that works very well for those sort of things.
Okay, and has that got to do with the amount of nutrients and the kind of how rich in nutrient that the plant matter is, like of an apple compared to a leaf, say?
Just different nutrients. So the plant matter has more cellulose in it, which cattle can consume, a lot of insects can consume, but not ours, sadly. They only love protein, fat, carbs, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like the cattle eat them, and actually it's the microorganisms, organic organisms in their rumen to break it down. Then the cattle can absorb the nutrients. Well, the black soldier fly larvae is tiny little big thing, so their mouth and their teeth is like not that useful to cut down those like leaves and things, but they do love juicy apples. And yeah.
Awesome. And just one kind of question about fish, or just, and that's something we can reiterate, about like when the people are going to get their fish. So in week 7, if you've been cycling your tank from week 3 or 4, you've been cycling it for 4 weeks. In week 7, we will send you your fish. Now, to work back from that, we're going to tomorrow send out in the email with this recording, there's going to be a link to a survey with the different varieties of fish that you can choose. So we have the 6 varieties, the platies, the guppies, the white cloud minnow, gold algae eater, zebra danio, and the other one, I can't remember. Anyway, there's 6 fish, and the ones that we've chosen, that they will all cohabitate together. So they're all quite peaceful fish. So you can choose, I think, 6, right? G, is that correct? The amount that people can choose? 6 fish. So you can choose, like, like we've provided some resources as well, so you can learn, like, and by all means do as much research as you'd like as well on the varieties to make your decision. But it can be good to try, and instead of getting one of each, for schools, for fish that like having partners, like having other fish of their species to hang out with and school with, it can perhaps be a good idea to maybe get like 4 of one thing and 2 of something else. So maybe you might get like 4 guppies and 2 gold algae eaters or something like that. But look into it. And then, so tomorrow we're going to send out the survey with the fish. And so you can choose the ones that you want. And then we will, you'll have until like next week to, well, once we've been cycling your tank for 4 weeks, then you can fill out the survey. Then we know what fish you want. And then in week 7, you'll get and your second care package with the hydroponic nutrients, your fish, and some other materials like the light arm extension and other things. So we'll include all of that again in the email tomorrow, just to reiterate that. But I hope that helped clear up any questions about that. We've got quite a few more questions, but I think we're going to have to wrap it up, guys. So maybe chuck them in the group, put them into the Facebook group, and we'll see. We can all help each other out there. Thanks everyone again for joining. Thank you so much to Karma 3 for speaking tonight. It was really amazing. Tune in on Saturday if you like for the next kids session. And happy growing. Looking forward to seeing your microgreen creations. And until next time, have a great week. Cool. See you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
What happened?
Everyone.